Welcome to Vox Scream, a Kill Team podcast where we aim to help players of all skill levels supercharge their game and separate the signal from the noise. I'm Mark Meyer, joined by Kill Team heavyweights George Pratt and Joe Gallo. We're coming to you from the Triangle region in North Carolina. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Vox Scream, everyone. We've got Joe and George here, and we're joined by a special guest this week. We've got Dakotah from the Squad Games podcast. What's going on, bud?
Hey, guys. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Being a busy man.
Yeah, life never stops as a Kill Team organizer. I'm sure, as you guys know,
Absolutely.
You're either arguing with people on podcasts, or you're arguing with people on Discord, or you're arguing with your loved ones. It's one of the ones, That's usually where most of my time goes.
Really could not ask for a better spent time, frankly.
Yeah, fair. Absolutely.
As a professional asshole, that sounds great.
Hey, have people been telling you about my side jokes, my dad jokes,
I've heard tale of such things.
Yeah. Dad jokes are good. They break the ice with a lot of players and tournaments and stuff. It's awesome to be on Vox, Vox Screen. Thank you guys for having me, Looking forward to chatting about our topics today. What are we talking about today?
So, I wanted to have you on as, I will toot my very small horn here in that I am the TO for the local area here, run monthly tournaments, and I just put on the Cherokee Open that was hosted by Frontline Gaming. So I wanted to have you on as, you run a small tournament called Las Vegas Open, also with the help of Frontline Gaming. So I would like to talk to you about what it is like to put on an event and to run an event, because to me, it's one of those invisible parts of the competitive scene that I think a lot of people would actually benefit from knowing how it works.
Of course. So do you want me to start from the basics or?
Well, I'd actually really like you to start just kind of from square one. You obviously didn't start your tournament journey running the biggest Kill Team tournament in the world, or maybe you did. I just don't know if that's the case. So I'd love to hear just where you started and what kind of brought you from that point to running the biggest Kill Team tournament in the world.
Well, it started with me buying a box of Warhammer, and my wife told me that if I didn't start to compete, I had to sell my stuff,
Damn, that's hardcore.
Yeah, because I kept buying
awesome
stuff. I kept buying stuff, and she's like, well, what are you doing? I paint them, I put them on my shelf. And she was like, well, you need to play with them, or you need to start selling them because you're not doing anything with them, right? I was like, fair. So within 3 weeks, I bought her and me tickets to go play at the Las Vegas Open Kill Team 2020, right before COVID. In fact, I'm pretty sure we got COVID there. Went there. I tied for top 8. Strength of schedule kept me out of 8th place, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the episode.
Oh, this is called foreshadowing, people.
It is called foreshadowing. But there's also many other reasons why strength of schedule is bad. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to curse on this, but
yeah, go for it.
Absolutely, rip it.
Dog shit. And I can tell you my exact logical reasonings, and I can back it up with facts. But that's besides the point. So from there, I met Sheldon. I met Glass Half Dead. I met Bieranid and a couple other people from the West Coast, and I was like, hey, I make terrain. I do stuff. And they're like, all right, cool. I talked to Glass. And I was like, hey, Glass, I listen to you while I'm showering. I listen to you all the time, dude. And I was like,
not an awkward icebreaker.
I'm sure. And I was like, and he was like, well, it's true. You listen to some of these podcasts driving or in the shower or, taking a bath, taking a poop, it is what it is. I'm just
Someone is
honest.
pooping right now listening to this.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, David. So I was like, from there, I asked Glass Half Dead. I was like, yo, dude, I would love to get on your YouTube channel. How do people do that? And he was like, win an event and then talk to me. And I was like, all right.
Not an unreasonable ask, being in the content creator space. But definitely before being in the content creator space, it's like, what do you mean win an event? Am I not charismatic enough? Yeah.
That is the very first and last time I've ever asked a content creator to ever be on a show, to ever go on their show or anything like that. I learned my lesson, and then it's also hard sometimes to tell people no when they ask you kind of the same thing. I try to come at it with a little bit more tact, not the British tact, but American tact. But that's besides the point. So from there, Sheldon ran the very next LVO and I played. And there was something happened called Box City, if anyone is familiar with this in the old edition.
I've seen pictures and heard tales.
Yeah. And essentially, Sheldon invested so much finances into running the best event he bought like 50 sets of arena. He bought all of these containers from me and from other people. And he got kind of torn apart when the new edition dropped because he invested so much time into a specific terrain set that Games Workshop just destroyed. And we recognize that with this edition as well, which I'll get to and I learned about. From there, Sheldon asked me to take over the next LVO because I could actually make it profitable. I could sell stuff, I could sell tokens, I could sell terrain, so on and so forth. And it's something that he could not do, right? As a tournament organizer, if you have to invest a lot of the money into running a very large event, you have to be able to make your money back, or you have to be like Lex Luthor and just have a lot of money, right? That's burning a hole in your pocket and you spend it there, which I am not that guy. So that is how I started TOing. My very first event, I was like, hey, I don't want to go to LVO blind. So how about we run a tournament circuit on the lead up to? And I was fascinated with Cobra Kai back in the day. So we wanted our capstone event to be something called the All Valley Team Tournament. If anyone has seen the finality of Cobra Kai, it is one of the best endings in all of cinematic TV history, in my opinion. Loved it. Loved it. Yeah, so our first event was 7 players. Our next event was 10 players. Our next event was, I think, 8 players. Our next event was 12 players. And then we had the All Valley Team Tournament, which was 42 players. Now, you might be like, how did that happen? Well, me and Giacomo and Saya went out every week to a different game store all throughout Southern California. And we would recruit every single person at every single place. And we would tell them, hey, if you like us, you think we're cool, and you like to learn and kill team from us, just come out to the All Valley Team Tournament. It's not really competitive. It's like a super good place to like learn. And that's how we got people hooked, right? They came out, they love the team format for Kill Team, 42 players, absolutely stomped it. I think we had only like 3 people drop. It was awesome. Then we ran like a December event, and then we literally ran our first LVO, which we broke the record, which was 87 players. Had a lot of issues getting the terrain for that because I learned from Sheldon. If you invest heavily into Games Workshop terrain, you can get burned very dramatically. We saw that with FLG and FLG's 40K terrain. All of their terrain that they've used for the past like 10, 12 years, all not playable in the new 40K. We saw it with Sheldon in Box City, the old edition terrain, really bad for last edition terrain. And then this year, no one's playing Octarius anymore. Everyone's playing super mega heavy death city, God, it's crazy.
Remember when people were complaining that Chownath was too much heavy, and then they came out with Volcus, and everyone's like, man, this is great. Octarius sucks.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone said my stuff was too heavy, and now my stuff looks like, or my old stuff was like light compared to this.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think Octarius is perfectly playable still, but I digress.
I think there's a lot of build up and lead up to our first LVO and making 42 sets of terrain available for play for everyone. And we came at it, and we've learned a lot of stuff every single year, including this past year. There's a little bit of controversy online afterwards, and if you ever walk away from an event thinking that you did everything perfect, you didn't learn anything. I'm a big fan of Michael Jordan. You learn through your failures, right? So I want to continue to fail and continue to be better so that I remain hopefully the best kill team event experience that anyone will experience. That's my goal.
Well, I will say that from the people who I've talked to who went to LVO this year, they all said that, I didn't hear anything from them about, oh, well, this happened or this happened. They all said it was amazing and that they had a great time. So, I mean, despite all the controversy, I still think it's, at the pinnacle. I do want to take a second because I think you said two things that are really important when you were talking a little bit about your lead up to your first tournament and to your first LVO. I think the one thing that is just really important is just networking, going out there and building the community. And that's a step that you really just can't, try and skimp out on. I think that we're really fortunate here in the Triangle. We've got a really big community, and obviously the other communities we've got here in North Carolina are starting to grow. But I think that's one thing that we can continue to do ourselves is to just kind of continue to build our own communities and network between them just to keep everything going up. And the other thing that you talked about was the terrain, right? Like we are fortunate because of our community that we've been able to really work together and bring together all of our various terrain sets to kind of make a tournament happen. Like I've only run one tournament myself so far, but I knew I could count on the community to bring terrain. But I've got to say, like, if I had printed all this terrain like you had, I mean, it would just be one less thing to worry about because it would just be handled. I mean, obviously I don't want to sell short the work that you're doing to do that because 3D printing is its own hobby. It takes a ton of work.
Absolutely. I also do most of my stuff with laser cutting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and if you guys want to check it out, it is Luster's Workshop. I'm not sure what your inventory looks like at the moment, but like there's a bunch of good shit on there. So guys, check it out.
My Etsy is not currently open because we experienced a lot of 2 floods and 2 fires that both the floods negatively affected like stock and MDF and stuff like that. And then the 2 fires like killed 2 of my like $10,000 lasers, which I have not replaced. I have small lasers now, which is quite dramatic. So I've been mostly focusing on making stuff for just events. And then though I am going to be restarting stuff here really, really soon, including a brand new like micro box, but that's besides the point. So when I made events, my very first process, I went to an event and it made me mad. And I was like, this is stupid. I hate this. I went to another event. It made me mad. This is stupid. And I hate this. I could do it. And I was the person who looked at an event that made me mad and decided I could do it better. And I did. And I developed squad games, which is, we do like YouTube, we do podcasts, and we run events. And I had a couple things for our events, which I will not bow down on. I will not. For instance, I do not do community terrain. Sometimes at LVO, I have had to lean on a couple people just because of one, like I needed like 2 more Into the Dark sets or something like that. That was like Bats would bring it out for us. But I had this thing where I was like, I went to an event, and this event, it was a team event. We had 5 people on our team, and they gave us a singular cup for a trophy for Renaissance. And I was like, what do? Do I throw this on the ground and shatter it? Like, and we each take like a piece of this glass home, I was super salty.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. No, we just gave it to my buddy and now he drinks from it because it's like one of his grand prizes. Yeah, silly. The other event that I went to had styrofoam terrain. Now,
that's kind of
amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it really upset me, threw me out of the loop. And it wasn't Kill Team, this was 40K. And I decided that if I forced my players to ever have 3 colors on terrain, I would have it, and I would have it to my standard. Because if I'm forcing other players to do so, I will do the same, and I will prove that you can paint 3 colors on your models because every single piece of terrain has 3 colors on it. And my players then have no excuse, unless if they lose it in travel, and then they can play with plastic models. That's fine. Like if like the airline loses it or something. But, I think it's just setting a precedence and setting an example. I think that tournament organizers need to lead by example, not only socially, but through the hobby and through how they act and how they play the game. The last thing you want to do is go to an event and play somebody who you know runs an event and have an awful time against them. And then they'll tell their friends, and then their friends will never go to your event. You know, you have to maintain a good social decorum, player etiquette, and you have to really set an example for not only other events to follow, right? But like you want to push that. You don't want to just be like, "Hey, I'm out here. I'm just running an event because no one else is doing it." You know what I mean? Like,
and I've been in tournaments where the organizers were clearly the last people left to run the event, not because they wanted to, and those are never fun. Like, those are not good tournaments.
agreed.
But yeah,
I really like that sort of framework of really just trying to set the tone for your event and lead by example. And I think that the points you make of trying to lead by example by painting your terrain to the standard that you want everyone to paint their models to, as well as just the sort of social decorum and sportsmanship, I think are really, really important points. Are there any other ways that you sort of think of as ways that you're trying to lead by example when you're running a tournament?
There's two, and it's like the small things make the difference. I give out a lot of trophies. I'm blessed with lasers, and I have a really good trophy design that people love to take they're like magnetic, so they just put them on their fridge. And they just like have like now every time somebody opens their fridge, they remember the event they went to and won it at, right? You have a constant reminder. The other thing is like I really push sportsmanship.
could not agree more. I think it's the most important thing in Kill Team.
It is. And there are other events and other organizers that don't believe in sportsmanship as much as I do. And that's unfortunate. I'm not going to name names. But at my event, if you're an asshole, you will be penalized. It's just that simple, right? Now, I can take like, you can be rude, you can be this, you can be that, you know, but if you are actively being a dickhead for any reason outside of like, you know, maybe this person's like, you know, like if your dice rolls are going bad or anything like that, that's fine. You know what I mean? But if you're just like objectively just an asshole, like George, you were at LVO. The very first thing I said was everyone came here, spent thousands of dollars to play at this event. They flew here. They're staying in hotels. Everyone here is a human being. Don't lose track of that. Don't lose track that these people are people. You guys are playing with plastic miniatures. Let's make sure that we all have good decorum throughout the entire event, because the last thing I want to do is go around and give people sportsmanship cards, right?
Yeah.
Which I've had to do in the past, you know?
Which I did steal that, by the way, for Cherokee Open.
Good. Good. I think it's a good example. Like, I hope, George, you take anything and everything from my events and steal it and try to make it better.
Listen, I tried to steal a couple sets of terrain, but I just couldn't walk out with it, you know?
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I keep a close eye on those, you know?
Yeah, I can't imagine why. If I have a question, you know, regarding like sportsmanship and stuff like that. You know, we had a long conversation about sportsmanship here, like I want to say 2-3 episodes ago, and you talked about like hanging out the cards and stuff like that. And I think, you know, obviously one of the controversies of LVO, you know, regarding the whole like you were streaming everything, and there was a lot of what I would call like backseat gaming and stuff like that on Twitch and stuff like that. How do you handle such a like thing that came out of honestly, you know, nowhere as an organizer, and try to like deal with that in like a somewhat public way, but also understanding that like there are like personal levels to this stuff, you know what I mean? And sometimes people are just wrong too, right?
Well, I can tell you 100% honesty. I saw the Reddit thread like I don't know, like 2 hours after it went up, and I sat there for 8 hours just reading it, you know, not responding because my wife told me not to, and I wanted to.
Which is a good policy.
Yes, it is 100%.
And then I tried to respond to it as professionally as possible. We took a poll behind the scenes with everyone and the judges, and we did what we needed to do from there. And internally, I coached every single TO that was at the table. I protected ourselves by changing policies that we had in place, because obviously they were flawed. Like, for instance, they were in charge of streaming, in charge of judging, and in charge of like PR, and in charge of like a bunch of things, and like telling players what to do. And I just gave them so much that I didn't necessarily give them the proper tools that they needed to succeed. So I had to coach them and say like, hey, this is not acceptable. Like, we can't go just like talk to people in game about stuff, right? We can't do this. We can't do that. We should step in when we see certain things, But in the end, I think the proper tool for streamers and streaming things is what we did at Worlds. And I'm just going to copy Games Workshop on this. This is something that I think they did rather well. The streamers are just there to stream, and that's it. They're going to commentate. They're going to entertain the Twitch chat and that kind of stuff. I will give them a radio so that they can call a TO in case something is popping off. But it's going to be up to the players to call a judge. I also think it's ridiculous that a TO has to be present in the final game of a series, because those are technically the two players that should be the best at what they do, right?
Yeah.
Which does
Absolutely.
include good sportsmanship,
Absolutely.
generally.
It does.
Yeah, 100%.
But
So,
we
like-
did fail on another aspect. I don't think people really realize until like Worlds, we saw incredible numbers of people watching. You don't know how many people are actually watching. You think you're just on stream, your stream like maybe do like 50, 30. No, there's like 400 people watching, and like, everything starts to get scrutinized and this and that. So I think we have to do a better job approaching the players and being like, hey, remember when you're playing, you are representative. You are a representative of the competitive community, right? And we're not gonna, like, you have to be the utmost tier of this because you are representing the game. Then we have to tell the Twitch viewers, these players are not all representatives of the game.
Yeah. But simultaneously, the players need to be under the impression that they are representing the entirety of competitive Kill Team. And then the viewers of the stream need to understand that these are two dudes playing a game with plastic miniatures.
Agreed.
I mean, I think that also kind of reflects back to, I think that a lot of people, it's not like everybody who is joining that Twitch chat is just a Johnny Kill Team who doesn't really know what's going on. I think that a lot of these are competitive players too, and they also need to, reflect the highest tier of integrity in the community as well.
Yeah. And like,
Agreed.
I watched, so I actually have an anecdote for this. I think it was a stream tournament. I think Kill Team Stream put on, or was streaming. I don't remember what tournament it was.
Kill Team Open or LVO. Those are the only two.
No, because
really.
I maybe it was LVO 2021, maybe.
The year of COVID? It would have been 2022, possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah, 2021 was canceled.
It was a stream game, and it wasn't Worlds, where I was watching, and it was Novitius versus Pathfinders, and both players were definitely a little newer to the game, and they didn't quite understand their teams. And so I was just in chat being like, hey chat, they did this wrong, this is how this actually works, just so in case you were following along. And I was just doing that just to keep chat abreast of what was going on. And then the people who were streaming were like, oh, this guy's saying this, and they looked in the book and like, oh no, he's right. And they stopped the game, and then they just like, this is not what I'm doing. I'm not trying to interfere with this game, guys. I'm just letting chat know what's going on. And so like, it's one of those things where as soon as that happened, I was like, all right, time to shut up and not say a word.
Yeah, I think streaming events adds a whole nother layer of the cake, right? Typically, we're all playing with 3 layered cakes. When you add in streaming, you have a 4th layer, incredibly more difficult and time consuming. You usually have to have like special terrain dedicated to that table. You have to make it table 0. You have to have like, this year we did commentators instead of what we typically do, which is nothing.
Yeah, I think commentators is the way to go.
Yeah, and then you just have like, you have a bunch of different extra stuff, and like, we're going to be continually building on that as we continue with battle reports on our YouTube channel and practicing with different elements and adding more overlays and yada, yada. But I think that if you're thinking about streaming battle reports for your tournaments, please remember to start small. You don't need to go out and break the bank and spend $5,000 or $6,000 on camera equipment, audio equipment, computers, lights, arms, all that kind of stuff. Because that's what it takes to run something like ours, right? You can just get like a $300 DJI Pro like mic set and hook it up to a phone, and you can stream from your phone, right? Audio is really important. A camera is really important, but like I can't stress enough to tournament organizers. I've seen so many tournament organizers just burn out because they went too hard, too fast. They didn't see a profit, and they asked themselves, "Why am I doing this?" Because as a tournament organizer, you get very little good feedback or positive reinforcement, or like, "Hey, I had a good time." You get very little of that, right? Um, and sometimes when you do, those are just people trying to, you know, boost your ego so that they could get something else better. You know, like it's just like a whole bunch of stuff. Um, so you really have to, you know, as a TO, kind of like, I mean, it sounds negative, but I mean, it's kind of
I
true,
mean,
right?
listen, maybe you should take a compliment when they get a compliment. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Compliments are good, right? Like, luckily, I've been getting many this past year.
Yeah, and I'll say, as a player at LVO who had the judge at LVO rule against him, it was the most fun event I'd been to.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, what are you trying to get out of me, George? No, just kidding.
Favors. What else are we trying to get? Come
want me to
on,
do a podcast or
follow the
something, man?
program. Yeah, absolutely.
What is this?
Yeah, no, I mean the check's clearing right now. I can see it on the feed.
No. Yeah, I mean, firstly, thank you very much. It does mean a lot. I think there's a scaling issue when you get to that kind of a level of an event. There's like so many people that you have to bring on board that's not a part of your original crew. You have to
Yeah.
kind of delegate stuff. You kind of have to start trusting those extra people to do extra stuff. And sometimes you just have a not great staff, you know, and the event is just worse because of it. There
Yeah.
are so few people willing to step up and be a TO because everyone wants to play. I'm a forever DM. I'm a forever TO. You know, I have to travel out of my state to play in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm very much becoming that. I'm going to be running a monthly tournament next Saturday. And listen, you didn't hear it here, but I'm going to tell everyone I need practice for the Richmond Open, so screw you all, I'm playing too.
There you go.
Nice.
As long
I
as
mean,
it's not a
obviously, I
golden
can't
ticket
win
event.
anything because I'm the TO, but
There you go. I have seen TOs like, bro, there's so much kill team drama. We could do like a kill team like drama deep dive way back in the day kind of thing. Like there's a lot of crazy stuff that TOs used to do
Yeah.
that
That's
I
wild.
find objectively bad. You know?
yeah, if you're running an event and playing the event, fine, sure, whatever. Don't take prizes if you win. Like, don't run
Don't
an
play in a
event.
golden ticket event either.
Yeah, like don't run an event because you're the best person in the area and no one's gonna run it but you, so that you can win. Like that's don't be an asshole.
I will say though, I'm really liking the way that our surrounding communities have been growing, because now with all these regular tournaments over in Greensboro, you're getting more of a chance to play, George.
Yeah, it's great.
Hell yeah.
But talking about kill team drama, I think there was, besides the major drama that happened at LVO, there was some minor drama that happened at LVO surrounding your LVO FAQ.
Do tell.
Were there people upset by it?
Yeah,
No,
that
I
it
couldn't tell.
existed. It was just that it existed at all, right? Some
Yep.
people, and I am one of those people who thinks that the game is the game, even if we're not super happy with it, that is playing the game. But I'm also not upset if, like, when Dakotah's fact came out, I read it and went, yeah, this all makes sense. This is fine.
I think we walk a very thin line. I have never done anything like that because I'm objectively, as a TO, against homebrewing tournaments. I think it's objectively bad for the game. I think that people should not do it. I think we should all play the actual game. And let me tell you why I did it. Because there are certain things that just didn't make sense. I went to Worlds. I played in a lot of events. I talked to many, many sweaty competitive players. I talked to like tons and tons of people. Kill Team is my life. And I had even more changes, but I really was like, I boiled it down and I really was like, what are the core issues? Because you know what's crazy? Felgor can still heal twice. It's crazy to me. I don't understand why. It pisses me off. Okay. All right. I'm done. I'm done being mad.
Yeah, but they're
Done
not
being
likely
mad.
to get counteracts unless there's not enough of them for healing twice matters anyway.
You know, if you play fucking Vet Guard, it sucks balls. Okay. Okay.
Oh, you know
It
what?
sucks
True,
balls.
true.
Yeah, that's fair. If you play one of the objectively worst teams in the game, yeah.
It makes it an even worse experience. Yes.
I can't believe how they fucked over Vetguard so bad.
It's so bad.
Disrespectul, dude.
Yeah.
But that is currently not what we're talking about. But
Currently, yes.
as a player,
Mhm.
I read your fact sheet and I went, okay, the no counteracting with psychic powers or once per turn psychic powers. Sure, that makes sense. That reigns the Warp Covenant, which was the really big. I mean,
And they still won.
yeah, yeah.
Wild, absolutely
Um,
wild.
The can't gain cover and obscuring within 2 inches.
I hope more people steal that because I'm going to keep that at my events.
I think it is fine the way that it is printed in the book, mostly because I'm such an aggressive player that if anyone's trying to get cover and obscuring from me, then it's easier for me to break all of it and just shoot them out in the open because they have to be far enough back. So like I think that it's actually not a good thing and you shouldn't be doing it because it's bad positioning. But like I can see how in like, you know, low tables and mid tables, it's a problem.
High mid tables and low tables, it's a major problem, which is the majority of our player base, right? At LVO, we had 30% of players be brand new. We had maybe 10% of players were like top tier, like highly experienced players. Maybe another 10% were like also very competitive, but probably didn't have a shot to win the event, you know? And one of those did, in my opinion, Sammy, and now he's joined the upper echelon, right? And then you have the other 50% of players that are just like relatively experienced, relatively, you know, mid-table players typically. Sometimes they're going to play really high. Like you had Arturo Cortez, Mike Cortez's father, plays 15th, right? Absolute stunner, shocker there. Crazy. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying like I didn't expect him to do so well again this year. That man is amazing. But like, I think when you have like 80% of the field that gets objectively screwed over by 20% of the field, it is a problem. Like Kill Team has innate problems with this edition that I find rather unpalatable, right? From a game design perspective. And I think in order to mitigate some of that, because the thing that I'm always worried about, this is something that we go back to tournaments. And let me ask you this, and then I'll tell you my thing. When each of you run an event, Joe, I'll ask you first. Have you ran events before?
I have not, but I have watched my friends talk about it for long enough that I can likely answer this question.
Okay. What is your main goal while running the event? After the event, what is your main goal?
For people to have enjoyed and had fun at the event.
Okay. How about you, Mark?
My goal for the event that I ran was I was really trying to do it as something where I could give back to the community. And so I really just wanted it to be an event where the players could have a good time.
Okay. How about you, George?
I want to train the sweatiest Kill Team community. No, it's so that everyone can have fun.
Okay. So having fun is actually my secondary. My first one is so that they come back. I want people to come back to my events. I want them to come to my event and have a good enough time that they will 100% come back to next year's LVO or come back to the next year's AVTT. Whether or not they had a great time, if I could have made their experience better, even if they didn't have fun, if they won a prize, if they won best painted, if they won something else, or they just enjoyed the vibe, you know, even if they just got shit stomped the whole time and they want to come back because of it, I did my job, right?
Yeah.
I think there's specific things wrong with the Kill Team edition right now that makes that harder to achieve as an organizer.
That's interesting. What are those specific things?
So the kill op is number one.
Oh god.
And
Oh shit. What
the
talk
fact-
about a negative
the
play
fact
experience.
the fact that you are incentivized on killing and wiping out your opponent is objectively bad for recurring play. Now, those competitive players that Games Workshop is trying to bring in and like keep there, it's great. It's fantastic. That is what Kill Team is. We're here to kill stuff. Awesome. Right? But it's the other 80% of players that don't want to get their, or for heaven forbid, whoever got last place at LVO. Now, he won some hobby stuff, and him and me talked a lot about hobby, so I know he's coming back next year, right? And there are a few other people at the bottom end of the section, you know, they didn't care that they lost. And that's a great mindset. But I come from League of Legends, and people get fucking tilted. Tilted as shit, right? My last objective is to let somebody get so tilted they don't want to come back. And I saw somebody quit day 3 because he had such a bad experience with another player on day 2, right? And there's nothing I could do about it. Both of them did not want to play. Like it was a bad experience for both players, and one guy just left. And I feel really bad that I couldn't, as a mediator, work out some kind of solution between them. Because as a TO, sometimes it's not following the packet. Sometimes it's not doing anything like that. Sometimes it's just like your intellectual IQ, talking to two people, trying to get them to work together to come out to an outcome that both players at least feel reasonably okay with, right? And in some sort of like tense situation. And sometimes you can fail, right? Just because both players don't want to. And you know, I remember him, and I feel bad that he left, and that I don't even know who he is on Discord. I can't reach out to him. You know, I just know his name, right? And you know, that's a failure on my mark, you know, because my goal is to have everyone come back, and that's how you continually have bigger events, better events. They have a good enough time. You put enough work behind the scenes, people recognize it, people love it, and they want to come back.
So I think that is an interesting distinction, because when I run tournaments, my goal is to everyone have fun so that they will come back. But that's not actually the same mindset of I want people to come back and have fun.
I guess the thing about it is that if your number one goal is to get people to come back, it is the sort of engine that fuels all these other things that you want to do. Like it is, again, you want to make sure everyone has a good time so that they come back. You want your terrain to be stellar so that people come back because they thought it was just incredible and that their models looked amazing on it. You want to have these awesome prizes so that people come back because, oh man, that trophy at LVO last year was insane. I gotta next year I'm winning it, you know? So I really like that as a distinction personally.
Another thing is hobby track. Hobby track, when you see it happen in real life, George, right? You see everyone bring the display boards and put them out on the table, and they're just like awe-inspiring, right? And you're like, wow, holy crap, these people did this crazy stuff. It inspires you to do it. People walk around, and it just adds to the atmosphere of the event. It's the small things, guys, and people that are listening. It's the small things that you do. When I am a TO, I walk around to every single table. I make dad jokes. I ask the children if like, hey, is this guy being nice to you? You know? And then if they tell me no, you know, then I'm like, it kind of gets my ears involved. Otherwise, you know, they're just like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Because if he's mean to you, I'm going to beat him up for you. Okay. You know, just like small dad jokes here and there to continually break the ice, go around, touch every single table, make sure everyone is continually having fun. And it's a lot harder when it gets to bigger and bigger and bigger events, but it is doable. You act like a waiter going from table to table, answering questions and rules questions, and just having small interactions, checking in on people. If somebody's having a bad day, keep going over to them, keep pestering them. You know, I'm like a woodpecker. And, you know, sometimes I just go over there and I just peck at people until they open up, you know? And then I'm like, hey man, like what's going on? You're not having fun? Like what's, you know, like, is there anything I can do? You know, do you want a sticker? You know, can I give you a token set? You know,
I
like
love a sticker. Thank you.
like, you know, I make a lot of things. So sometimes it's okay for me to give things away to enhance somebody's experience that maybe he's having a bad time, right? It's customer service at the end. You're there as a humble servant that has to lead a bunch of people in a direction, in a healthy direction, so that players can have fun and enjoy the event. And that's all that TOing is. And there's like all these greater premises. Like people can come up and be like, I want my events to be the sweatiest there is. You know, I'm going to give every single person, you know, a time clock, and I'm going to, you know, do this and do that. And it's like, or I'm going to go out and buy a bunch of dice and everyone's going to play with the exact same dice. I'm going to regulate this. I'm going to do that. And it's like, just make sure that players know going in what your event's going to be, what it's like, and who you might be excluding, right? The more competitive your events are, the less likely you are to have, like, the more quote unquote competitive mindset events are going to have a less return than something else, unless if you can add extra stuff. You know, can you add pin the tail on the donkey like in the middle of rounds? Like, what are you going to do to make your events stand out that's different than George's events, that's different than my events? Why is somebody going to want to come back to your event specifically? And you need to come up with that, and you need to stick to it and build an identity around why your events are awesome. And that's the best tool of advice that I can give to a TO. Put the work in, work your ass off, and make sure that your event is unique.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I love
great
that.
advice.
Yeah.
And
Fantastic advice.
I do want to also highlight they said that it is like being a waiter, it's customer service, because it really is like being a waiter. The largest event I ever TO'd for was I did a 35 person tournament in the Triangle Open last January, and it was
It's a
just
huge
me.
event. Congratulations. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. But it was just me, no team or anything, and you know I was walking around, you know, listening to people play, listening to their conversations, making sure that if there were questions to step in, anytime someone needed to judge, I'd run over. But even in that scenario, I had enough time to run to the bathroom if I needed to, or sit down for 5 minutes to get my feet a break. So like, I definitely know that there is a limit to the number. Like once you hit a certain threshold of people, you need to start adding more people to your TO team so that you can maintain that level of customer service, essentially.
And you have to make sure those people are not ding dongs.
Yeah, that's the harder part.
And that's something I want to double click on here for a second, because when I was thinking about the, you know, the LVO fact that you put out, one thing that I kind of realized after the fact is that it was a good tool to make sure that all of your, you know, TOs that you had working with you were on the same page about stuff. And that's one of the things that seems really difficult to me, is if you have like a large group working with you to help run this large event, one of the big things that, you know, a lot of players are coming to them with is rules questions. And it seems like that's probably one of the biggest problems managing that kind of a group, is making sure that everybody's on the same page interpreting the rules, because we all know that the way that some of these rules are written, there can be multiple interpretations of it.
So there's a guy named Mike Cortez who used to do a really big FAQ for Kill Team and go through and pull all the questions from Discords and stuff. Kind of burnt him out. But like, I think that what he was doing was the Emperor's work. We, as TOs at every single event, should have an FAQ portion to know, like in your packet. Because the thing that drives me nuts is going to an event that doesn't have a packet, you know? Because I don't know what terrain we're playing on. I don't know what. Now, here's the thing. 80% of the people are not going to read your packet. But if they get screwed over by something, you better damn be sure they're going to go back and read the packet. So you got to make sure that you're running everything correctly and that you know your packet. But, you know, one of the big things is, you know, making an FAQ so that not only your other TOs, like you said, Mark, but also the players can be aware of how you're ruling something, you know? Unfortunately, there are sometimes that things just pop up, like, can a squig blow up through Volca's doors? I ruled yes at LVO. Is it correct? I don't know. Hopefully Games Workshop answers that question one day, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, I mean, you know, I think that that's part of the thing, right? Is like you were in a position where it was one of the weirdest, if not just, you know, downright worst spots the meta's ever been in. Just the teams being the teams at the top being so oppressive, and largely because of just the way that the rules are being read. Having the courage to do that sort of thing and like put the packet out there, make sure that the players and the TOs are all on the same page. I think that was ultimately really, really great. One thing that I think that we locally have not been able to agree on as something that's really great, and something that I, as a tournament organizer, have had a hard time deciding for myself, is tiebreakers. And before we fired off this call, there was a bit of debate about, I think that generally speaking, most people are kind of deciding between first and second tiebreaker as, total victory points and strength of schedule. When I ran my event, which was maybe like a month or two after third edition came out, what I really wanted to do was completed primary ops, or like total primary op points. I didn't get the chance to do that because I'm too lazy to just write stuff out, and like BCP hadn't like fully updated. So I don't remember which one what I ended up doing, but that was just a question that I had a hard time answering myself. So I'd love to get your opinion on tiebreakers and where you kind of fall in the debate.
Sure.
Before we do that, I am opting out of this discussion because I am a little biased, since the wound is rather fresh.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to utterly destroy George on this, and I'm going to tell you why. I've actually been setting up my argument this entire time. I've been waiting.
Listen, I'm
waiting
to
choke George from across the
individual.
country. Force choke him.
Happy to have my mind changed.
Good. That's good. That's actually one of the hardest things to do these days, is actually have an open conversation.
Having an open mind, yeah. I am not a person who is very set in a lot of my opinions. Some of them I'm very set. Like, don't be an asshole. That's a pretty hard set opinion. But most other opinions I can be swayed on. Yeah.
So me and Matthew Howell used to have this conversation a lot, and we just objectively disagreed. George, he took your side of the stance, and then eventually he swapped over to mine after we've had, many arguments. And his was watching Worlds and not knowing where players were going to place. When he was watching Worlds and just watching how strength of schedule was affecting people and how it was going to bump people in or bump people out, but you have to finalize the round in order to see where they're going to actually go. And if you don't actually finalize the round, because here's another one. Six-Sided Legion, a great YouTube channel, another battle report channel, homies, right? They both went to an event, and the TO played in that event. It was a golden ticket, won the event, already had a golden ticket, had to pass it down, and did not finalize the round. And when he didn't finalize the round, he actually gave the golden ticket to the wrong person because he had strength of schedule as one of his things. And if you, as a brand new TO, if you on BCP, you have to finalize the round. You have to finalize the event in order to get the final placings. Well, he didn't do that. He did that 6 a.m. the next day. And the two homies actually were supposed to not get the tickets. And the TO was like, oh, I've made my decision, yada, yada, yada. And a whole drama happened, right? Now, heaven forbid, and now that all worked out fine in the end, but heaven forbid, two friends stop being friends because of something like that, right? Strength of schedule is a nebulous enemy for everyone. You never know what you're going to get when you're playing into, like, heaven forbid, I play a person and they lose every single other game because they decided to go get drunk. Maybe that happens twice. Now I'm tied with first place. I've objectively scored more points. I'm better than that person, yada, yada, yada. And I lose because my two previous opponents decided to shit the bed. That is one of the most frustrating things that you can have as a player. And there's only one person to blame. That is the organizer, and that is the event. I will never return to that event. That player will never return to that event because there is a nebulous enemy that they can blame. That is the TO. Go ahead.
You made 3 points there. The first point was that, yes, BCP need to finalize the round. That is a thing that new TOs can they can fall into. That doesn't apply to me. I understand that. I always finalize everything, so that just straight up doesn't apply to my particular events. But it is something that newer TOs do need to know, and it can be a trap that they fall into.
Yes.
which in that case, if as a newer TO and if your first tournament, second tournament, you're not quite there with all the buttons on BCP and how its arcane and esoteric UI works, don't do strength of schedule. The second point was that if you were tied in first place, you had more points, and you say that you are the better player, that you may be the better player, but there's no way to tell from the victory points, because in your example, if you had two players who were just getting drunk and you ran up the score on them, you're going to have more points than almost
I'm
everyone
saying
else.
after they lose to me, then they go and get drunk and lose the rest of their games. See the difference?
Okay.
See the difference?
Okay, but that still doesn't necessarily mean you didn't play weaker players than the person who was that you're in contention for.
I tilted those players, like a League of Legends reference. I tilted them into oblivion, and they decided to int it and run it down, which objectively screws over the person that they played against, right?
Yeah.
Now they could
totally.
drop, and then your opponent game win percentage is ultimately stays the same. But that's also like a weird, like, oh, I played this guy, he went 50-50 because he played a game, he lost to me, and then he dropped. So now I just have a static 50-50, and you don't know if that person how well that person would actually do throughout the rest of the event, if he is actually better than most of the field or worse than most of the field. Like, it's just this nebulous, objectiveless, shitty metric that Spain just fucking loves.
It's totally a black
bullshit.
box.
It is. Yeah. And there's another part. Okay. Now when we go to points, my pairing metrics that I use for BCP and all my events, I go tournament points and then I go random. That's it. So if you win, you pair into another win, so on and so forth. If you lose, you pair into another loss.
Yeah,
the
100%.
game is already. It's not chess. We're not fighting against people of the same elo. It's impossible to force people to be in the same elo. It's impossible to actually do anything like that. It's random. You're playing random on different boards. This random element is a part of the game, right? Tournament points are always 100% within your control, within your players' controls, right? Unless they're playing Vetguard, then they just suck.
But here's something that I have to disagree with you on, because here is my villain TO origin story. Like you said, you TO'd because you went to an event and then strength of schedule fucked you out of first place.
That's not why I started TOing, but that is something that did happen to me.
But there's something that happened that was started your journey. Something that happened that started my journey on maybe I should do this was I went to an event where it was very similar. You paired wins against wins, and then not really points against points. It was pretty much random. And I had a incredibly stressful, difficult run against 3 of the best players in the meta, and the person who won smashed 3 people and would not have won based on victory points, except his last round opponent went, but if you do this action instead, you score 4 points, which bumped him up to 1 more victory point over me, even though I had way harder three way harder runs.
I mean, it's interesting that yours is because you didn't win. Here's the thing.
I won. Yeah.
No, you didn't get the overall win. You didn't win the event, right?
Correct. I didn't win the event. We had the same record.
Yeah.
But my opponent played much weaker players and so was able to run up the score over me.
Yeah, but then the event didn't have enough rounds for you to be able to actually Swiss pair correctly. You should have played that person next, right? That's what should have happened.
Yeah, but that's
on the event.
You can't really do anything about that.
Well, you can. You can run another event. You can cut it off at 12 players. You know, you could do a whole sorts of stuff. Like you can 24 players, 4 rounds, no more. That's a TO thing. That's an event problem, right? Rather than how the game should be played, which is in Swiss, right? It should be Swiss, no top cuts, no nothing.
That's an interesting point. So I'm going to give you...
I think strength of schedule is better for events that cannot complete certain small rounds.
Most of the events that we run are events that cannot complete because we have a lot of people who want to play and only so much time in the day that the store is open to play.
Now, George, I'm going to tell you something. Remember my ultimate goal? It's to make people come back to my events, right? I am never going to let a player blame me for their bad time, other than maybe I had some shitty fucking maps. If you don't like my maps or you don't like my terrain, I mean, it is what it is, right? But like when you do strength of schedule, the only person they can blame is the TO or the event. They cannot blame themselves because it's impossible. It's impossible to control another player's actions after you've beaten them, right? It's impossible.
I think this is the most compelling argument you've made, and it has nothing to do with strength of schedule or victory points.
Yeah.
But this is the most compelling argument.
Yeah, this was my ace in the hole, my friend.
Yeah, this is the most compelling argument. And I wanted to ask you, in a meta tournament setting, so like in this scene, we have a lot of people who want to play in a tournament and more than available time to play. Would you let as many people who want to show up and then play the 3 rounds that they can, and then whoever wins, or would you cap it so that it will always end up with a true winner?
So I'll always try to max out my space, no matter what I can do. If that event can hold multiple days, I will ask the store if I can do multiple days, or if I can do a top cut and then have the players come back another day if we sell a specific amount, I think that's a lot easier for a store to handle and be like, hey, we sold 42 tickets. We can't complete in 3 or 4 rounds. Is there a way that if your event space is only allowing you to do 3 rounds, you're really screwed. You could then go to an employee and be like, hey, if I pay you an extra like $40, can you come in to the store early, 2 hours early, $20 an hour, and run it as long as that's okay with the owner, so that we can get that extra round in, because those rounds are super important, not only for how many points you score on ITC, which everyone is fascinated by, but it's important to get that extra round in. Then after your 4 rounds, you can have a top 8 cut, which I dislike top 8 cuts because I think a lot of collusion happens in order to get to top 8.
I think that's a placing metric sort of problem.
Yes. But then the very next day, you could come back and just run a 3 round or 2 round to finish out, to get to that final. That's definitely possible. We're actually running 2 events this year where we're going to have multiple undefeateds. And unfortunately, I have to use, I'm going to have to, it just is what it is. Those are not my golden ticket events. I have 2 events that we're not doing golden tickets, but they will be really competitive. And I'm going to be giving out a bunch of hobby stuff for it. So,
yeah. And I think this is really, because like I'm TOing on a hard budget in terms of terrain available to me, in terms of space available to me. I spent a month and a half looking for stores that said, sure, we can host Kill Team on this day every month. Like most stores are like, no, we don't have the space. No, we don't have the availability. No, we don't have this XYZ.
Mm-hmm. That is, which is the usual answer.
Yeah, it's just they're busy stores. They have to do product stuff. It is not uncommon.
Usually, it's Magic the Gathering that gets in the way.
A lot. Yep, it certainly was.
I can't commit that far out because Magic the Gathering is coming out that month. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering could just have a pre-release, which takes up the entire month for some reason.
Please, Wizards of the Coast, stop printing wheelbarrows of money so we can play Kill Team.
Yeah. How dare you? Hear our cry, Wizards. And so my personal philosophy on TOing was just try and lock down a day and accept everyone who wants to show up on that day. And then, unfortunately, there won't be a single winner, probably. I mean, ties can happen and change that. But I had not considered doing something like, hey, you guys would go into another round. Do you want to do that round another day and then...
We'll have it in your packet first, right? That's, like if you get top 8, there will be a round for day 2. right? And then some of those people will be like, I can't make day 2. It's like, okay, then you pull from the next available person, you know?
Yeah.
And
Or even like, just like, can you schedule a game during the week and finish that game? Because most of the time it is, we have 2 undefeated players. Very, very rarely will we have more than that.
Yeah. You guys could schedule an extra day somewhere else throughout the week and then play one. And you get, as long as you put that in your packet and people are agreeing to it, then I think that's 100% a very valid way to do it. And in my opinion, you know, I like doing 1 round over the extra. That's why I do 9 rounds at LVO, not 8, just because it adds so much drama. You know,
Yeah.
it just adds
Yeah, it does.
like, especially when no one's undefeated, you know, and it's just like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? There's like 20 people right now that could get first place. This is nuts. You know?
Actually, now I want to bring Joe in. Hey, Joe, how did that drama feel?
Fuck me. Okay, so let's explain this. So very briefly. So we're not going to go into the Cherokee Open stuff like in depth here because we wanted to have Dakotah on. Dakotah is a fantastic guest to have to discuss tournaments. Very basically, I had in the Cherokee Open, I had beat Leander Garrett. And I had previously lost to Landon, who ended up getting the golden ticket. But Landon ended up losing to Leander in the next round. So that left 4-1s, left 3 4-1s. And it ended up coming down to tiebreakers. Would you like to guess who had the most tournament points? And would you like to guess who had the best strength of schedule? So very basically, had George not done strength of schedule, I would be sitting here with a golden ticket right now. Now, giant asterisk to that. Landon played a fantastic game against me. That has nothing to do with his skill. I'm glad Landon won his game against me. Nothing against him whatsoever. So yeah, no, it was absolutely anxiety inducing. You know, because I thought I had lost all hope of getting my golden ticket. Because to once again drill down a little bit, I lost that game on 1 dice roll. Had I gotten a different result, we would have tied, and then assuming Landon would have went to go lose his game and I went to go win my game, which is what ended up happening, I would have been guaranteed the golden ticket. So, you know, I was coming off of that game. So that was, you know, disappointing. And then, you know, finding out that there was hope there immediately to have it taken away. By the way, the 3rd time for strength of schedule, because George, like we talked about, runs strength of schedule tournaments very frequently. And I've been screwed out of first place multiple times at George's tournaments for this exact reason. So,
stop being one of the better players.
Well, see, to me, George, this is like you're literally hearing the exact feedback. And it's probably not just Joe, right? Like,
oh no, I've had this feedback, and every time it is always, my response has always been, this is the most fair I can do at this level where no one is guaranteed to win.
But that's untrue. That's not true, right? Like here's the other thing. Like, there are problems with every game system. With every single type of, there's like Swiss, whatever, brackets, whatever, you know, you could do a bracketed tournament, right? And just like, you know, double elimination. There's problems in every single one. This specific one, people can blame you.
And they would be right to do so.
You heard it here first. Get in the comments. Blame George. My own podcast mate screwed me out of a golden ticket.
Yeah. But
How
I will
dare
say,
he?
live on air, Dakotah has convinced me that I fucked up and Cherokee should have been victory points.
George, don't say that.
Well, I mean, I'm relatively convincing. Now, when you speak to the Spanish, they'll try to convince you back, and they might be able to, because they'll say like it's more fair, it's more this.
Listen, it is more fair from just a purely mathematical, like most players represented standpoint.
I would agree.
But I agree with you in that I was not thinking about having people come back. I was thinking about the majority of players having fun. And so I was trying to be fair to the most amount of players. And so a tournament like Cherokee, where there was going to be one winner because there was more than enough rounds to get there, should have been victory points. And I may take a look at my pairings metric instead of random. But I'll figure that out too.
So for my placings metrics, if anyone wants to know, I have different placing metrics than Games Workshop, because Games Workshop came out and was like, hey, strength of schedule is the way, which
Again, probably because it is the most fair to the most number of players.
I would agree.
And they don't give a shit if anyone comes back. They're going to come back.
Yeah, or if people don't come back, they will be replaced. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. See, I want those replacements and I want people to come back. That's how LVO continues to grow at its pace. So for me, placing metrics is tournament points, then victory points, then completed kill ops, then primary points, then crit ops, then tac ops, then tournament strength of schedule, and then game opponent win percentage. The reason why I go in that one is that order is because I feel that tac ops can't be higher on the list, because there are just some teams who just ultimately annihilate tac ops, right?
Or can't
Legionary,
score them like Jaegers.
or Vetguard, and then you have primary points are typically always going to be tac ops. In this edition, it seems to be one of the best strategies. And then there's the other side of the coin where some teams just crush crit ops and can't do anything else. And to me, kill team, even though I say people should not kill, like have to kill everything and all that kind of stuff, in the end, that is what this edition is meant to do. And that is what this game is mostly balanced around, is just killing other people, right? So in my opinion, having kill ops be your first tiebreaker metric is probably the fairest, because
after
I
victory
think
points, right?
Yes, after victory points. Because I think then I go primary, because primary is typically going to be either your crit op or your tac op, right? And then it's just kind of like in the air from there. But also, here's another thing. If you add all of these details in your pairing metrics, it makes it a lot easier for squad games and other tournament organizers throughout the world to pull all of the actual points that people score. So it's a lot easier to actually get statistics from events. If you don't have those enabled and you just have strength of schedule, it's actually almost impossible, unless if somebody's crazy enough to go into each and every single game and pull all the points manually, which unfortunately David, who's our stats man, does anyways. And he keeps telling me to preach the greater word of make sure that you at least, even if you have strength of schedule up there higher, just at least enable victory points. I mean, kill ops, primary, crit ops, and tac ops as a tournament organizer, because it just makes pulling stats easier. For Games Workshop, for us, for everyone.
I have those under strength of schedule. I do opponent win percentage, victory points, and then the various ops.
Oh, you do opponent. You do opponent win percentage over victory points. Oh yeah, I guess you would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, I think, and this is partly why I wanted to have you on, was so that I could be a better tournament organizer. Because I'm not going to pretend that I'm perfect. I mean, I will pretend that I'm perfect, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm perfect. And so
I'm still reeling over here. I'm going to be very honest with you. The fact you said live on air, Joe, I stole a golden ticket from you. I'm so sorry.
I did not say that. Joe, you did not win the Cherokee Open because of the way that it was set up.
No,
the
I know,
next
bro.
Cherokee
I'm messing
Open
with you.
Won't be set up that way because I have been shown a better way to do it.
Well,
Agreed.
You've been argued to the point of death about it. I apologize. Yeah. Anyone listening,
this is fantastic. Like I said, I'm an open-minded person, and I'm not stuck in my ways about strength of schedule. I understand that strength of schedule is a black box that is that is fair to the most number of people, but the people it screws over can only blame me for getting screwed over. And like, yeah, to your point, I was not thinking about how do these people come back. It is how does the most number of people have fun.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's like the difference. Like your event, sure, is probably more competitive in that aspect, right? But in the end, not everyone wants to play like full on sweat, So
yeah, I also don't think it is so much more competitive that it actually matters.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I almost went to strength of schedule this edition because it's like the points, especially after that very first thing when there's so many teams super dominant. but I think the meta's in a better place now. So
Yeah. So one thing I figured out in this edition is that it does a really good job of keeping players who are very similar skill level to very similar point differentials. And then from there, if a blowout happened, like generally one player is just way better than the other.
or they got like a really lucky blast or something big happened, right?
Yeah.
Which they should be rewarded for.
But like generally, if a lucky thing happened, great. But that's actually pretty rare. Generally, it is just they're a better player. And
Yeah.
that's the short and long of it.
Do you guys want to go over classified and unclassified? That's going to be coming up as more of an issue this year.
Ooh, I definitely
yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
tell us your juicy. So previous to when we started talking on the podcast, we were teased with an opinion, and I want to hear this opinion.
The greatest thing about having tournament organizers on shows or any of that kind of stuff, they're full of opinions. Sometimes they're wrong, right? Sometimes they're right. And I'm
never
full of
wrong,
opinions.
even when I say I'm wrong. Just want to make that official.
I want
George,
to ask each of you first what you guys think about the classified, unclassified system. And then I will give my sploo.
Joe, you want to go first?
Yeah. It is a necessary evil because we have so many teams. It's
Ew,
insane.
you're gross. Sorry.
We have so many teams. It's kind of wild, and I think we're getting close to over 50. And like I understand that at a certain point that it becomes nearly impossible to balance the game with so many
with your first world problems. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I understand that, but like, I mean, here's the thing: the thing ultimately is like, not like the vast majority of the people that play this game do not play it at a competitive tournament level, so they will not end up using that system. It is the only part that I'm not a fan of. Is they're just going to stop rules support at a certain point, similar to how they do like Legends and 40K.
That is not correct. I have spoken. I have on great authority that they're going to be supporting every team as long as stats continue to come in for those teams.
Interesting. Okay, because didn't they say that was not going to be the case?
Yeah,
No, they said that they would continue. They publicly said on Warhammer Community that they will continue to support every team throughout the edition, whether or not they are classified or not classified.
Yeah, correct. Throughout the edition, but not into future editions.
Correct.
Was the thing.
Okay, you're right. You know, that's what I'm saying. So, like, for example, Commandos would not be supported in whatever 4th edition looks like.
Correct.
Yeah.
In
theory, anyway.
If in theory, yeah, we don't know anything about 4th edition.
Right.
You know, I don't even think it's probably been started
right.
working
Like,
on
not
it.
even. Yeah, they haven't even thought of it yet. Right. So that's the only thing for me is like in a potential future, I just don't like see, because especially since like I just so the models are so unique to those kill teams, and that's like defines their identity. And I hate them just being kind of absorbed into like 40K and like not having a homing kill team at some point.
Mhm.
So like that's my only like issue with it. And that's the other thing is, yeah, but that's the thing is this is also kind of a non-issue in some ways because, like I said, 90% of the kill team population will not be using this system because they don't go to GW events.
Yeah, you're also wrong there, Joe. Sorry to tell you.
Go ahead.
It's more than 90% that will be using it, unfortunately. And I'll give my explanation, and hopefully, if any TOs are listening to this, they will agree with me, just like I convinced George. But go ahead, Mark.
Oh,
What's your
well,
thoughts?
I was going to say, just, you know, from my perspective as a player, I want declassified teams to both be supported and be playable. And my reasoning for that is I love my Gellerpucks. I think that they're my best painted models. They're my favorite ones to look at. And I have a lot of fun playing them. And, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, in the short and medium term that they get just a little bit more of a bump to help them get over the hump where they're at right now. I think that they're better, maybe viable, probably not. But, you know, you mentioned something interesting, Dakotah, where it's like they're going to support teams as long as they're getting stats, which means people have to play these teams in order to get balanced updates. Where I'm at is I want to be able to play my old teams as long as possible. I want, if I'm going to run an event, and I'm doing so from the perspective of I'm probably only going to run a couple events a year. And for me, it's really just trying to give back to the community, especially since we already have George, who runs fantastic events, and there's other interest from people who are trying to, TO stuff locally and in the, sort of greater North Carolina area. I really want those to be community events, and I think that a lot of our players around here really want to do or they're going to be rooted to their models, and they want to run declassified, right? So my thought on that as a tournament organizer is, as long as teams are getting real and meaningful balance updates, I still want them to be played or playable.
It's fair. But you, George?
So, when I first heard the system, I was mostly ambivalent to it. After mulling on it, I like the classified, declassified. As somebody who memorized and could tell you the page number, paragraph, and sentence of almost any random rule in D&D 3.5 and
Nice.
almost any
Fuck
book.
yeah, let's go. Let's go.
I don't have a problem just learning rules. My brain is broken in a specific way.
Pathfinder
It
was better.
knows this shit. And as a player, I want to keep playing the teams I think are interesting. But I do find that over time, my interest in older teams wanes pretty significantly. I'm sure that's a problem with me and how I function as a human being.
I actually don't think that's the case, George. I think that it's just straight up like older teams are getting power crept out of the game. And I think that there's only so much balancing that can be done to sort of fix that without absolutely rebuilding a team's core identity.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think most of the newer teams are shitty doo-doo garbo compared to a lot of the older teams.
Yeah, I mean, Warp Coven is still like one of the best teams in the game.
Yeah, Legionary is still really strong. I don't think it's that so much as we've just had them for a long time, and my brain has a tendency to slide off of things that it has seen enough of. But as a TO, I will, and I've said this, all of my local tournaments will always support any team that is being actively balanced.
What are your thoughts, Dakotah?
So firstly, the way that Games Workshop can't balance teams if they're not getting stats for them. So it only makes sense. The only way they're going to be able to balance these teams is if they're getting stats for those teams. The other thing is another issue that I take is that people are like, oh, it's going to be hard to remember Veteran Guard's rules when we have like 40 teams. It's like, well, you've had them for 6 years.
Yeah.
You know,
also,
like,
you have a free rules reference. Just look
why
at the
is it
rules.
difficult to remember what Pathfinders do when you've been playing them for so long? Yes, it is a barrier of entry for newer players. But here's the other thing. This is my biggest thing. If Games Workshop continues to sell these kill teams in stores, like you can buy Veteran Guard boxes, I believe. Let me just double check before I put my foot in my mouth.
They just recently updated it. It's got like the new tokens for the 3rd edition. You can definitely buy them.
Okay. Now let's use Veteran Guard as the main key, okay? If they stop selling them in January, September, whenever their classified, unclassified stuff happens, that means they stop producing the box. They have to continue to sell the rest of the stock, or they've only made a certain amount and then they have to sell them. Okay, well, sometimes it takes people a month, 2 months to build a team, to paint a team. It's the very first team that they've ever painted. Imagine. Put yourself back a couple years. You think Commandos or Veteran Guards, I know that George has played it. Mark, it sounds like you played it. Joe, not sure if you've ever played Veteran Guard. But Veteran Guard was the shit. You know, it was super cool. Humans, they're good. You know, they're shooty. They got some melee. They're a cool team. You go out, you buy them. You think they look cool. Personally, I hate the Death Core of Krieg look.
Preach,
but,
brother, preach.
Yeah. So I play Cadians, and I think, or my action hero team, but like when you build them, you bring them to your first event, and then you're told, sorry, that team's not allowed. What are you going to do to kill team? You're going to drop it. You're never going to play it again. Why did I buy this model? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Right? Now, that's not going to be the same for everyone, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. In my opinion, I think that we should have the same thing as Magic the Gathering standard has. Okay. When you stop selling the team, then there's a 2-year gap before they get nixed out of the game. I think that that is a good balance of, hey, if you didn't complete this team in 2 years and you never brought them to an event, sure, that's on you, right? I think personally, having an extended period of time between when teams stop being sold compared to this other strategy that Games Workshop is just going to support them and then they're just dead, right? At their events, of course, right? And other events. I'm sure there's going to be other events on the East Coast, maybe a couple on the West Coast. I'm pretty sure everything in California, I'm not sure about the Bay Area, but everything like in the Pacific Northwest, in Las Vegas, in Texas, and in LA is all going to be declassified, specifically for this reason. In 2 years, I could see us cutting the first season of teams, all 13 or 14. And that is specifically because Games Workshop hasn't sold them in 2 years. You've had 6 years with the team, not 4 years, right? So if you really want to continue playing them, if you really want to get more stats out there for them, if you really want to do that kind of stuff, I think that is a good halfway point that I can meet Games Workshop on and say, like, I will agree to meet you here rather than just being like, hey, we're going to do what Games Workshop wants and just have a specific target of these models are dead here and now, right? I could see that being a much better thing.
It's kind of what the Warhammer community post suggested. It was, you get them in one season. It was a 3-year season. They're gonna have 3-year editions. So you had them for an entire edition, and then they're gonna be balanced for an entire edition. And so you have a team for, if it's at the start of the edition, 6 years. The teams at the end of an edition,
4 years.
not the full 6 years. Ultimately, and I agree with you, your system is better, and GW could get close to yours by just not selling older kit now, essentially. Just like stop selling the older kit. They're gonna get rotated out, and then we're gonna be, actively working on them for the rest of this edition, but we're not gonna sell it to you, so you can't accidentally, unless you go to your FLGS and they've just got one lying on the shelf, right? And you go, oh, these guys look cool.
Yeah.
And we can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Like my store is still selling the Nachman book.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Or I see Pariah Nexuses out here in California all the time. Yeah, I know. I think it's really important that we as a community look at that and try to all agree on something, whether it's a year, whether it's a 2-year. I don't think that we should just stop the team because it's 100% going to cut out brand new players that buy these teams, that are interested in commandos, that are interested in AdMech, or this or that. And sure, if they get replaced somehow, if Games Workshop does something like that, then cool. But it doesn't seem like that is happening, right?
Yeah, 1,000% that is exactly what's going to happen.
And I mean, what is the first advice that people give to new players when they're like, oh, well, do I want to get commandos? Do I want to get Corsairs? I just don't know. Like, which team's better? What's the first thing everybody says? It's, well, just play the team that you think looks cool. Play the team that you like the most. And I think that moving away from that is ultimately not a good thing. I think that rule of cool should be, top tier, at least, when we're talking about fun team. If you want to talk about points team, sure, that's one thing. But if we're talking about fun team, rule of cool needs to be, at the top.
Yeah, and I mean, we're about to lose. We're going to lose several factions out of the game because of it. I mean, there's going to be no representation for AdMech. There'll be no representation for the Sisters of Battle. There will be very minimal representation for other teams. Such a big faction that is Chaos Space Marines,
Chaos Demons.
Yeah, Chaos Demons are gone.
Sir.
I mean, a Custodies are a different thing. I don't know if Custodies should be in Kill Team because of just lore reasons. But anyway, there's for me, I'll give a great example. Alex is our resident Sisters of Battles player for ever since he got it. He's been playing novitiates religiously, has some beautiful sisters models that he painted and converted. That is his faction. He has been agonizing for the last 2 weeks of what he's going to do when this happens, because he will no longer have that representation anymore. And like you said, Dakotah, like it's going to drive people out of the hobby because they feel like, I mean, to flip the coin for you don't like the Deathcore models, some people really love the Deathcore models and love that they're completely represented in that team. And it's like, oh my God, I like, maybe they're not the best in 40K right now. Maybe I can sit down and play this Deathcore team and they're cool and fun and whatever. But now like that might be going away, or like there's so many teams that have so many fun flavors that people will not have access to, and it's a lot of teams. Like you said, 13 or 14. You know, that's a problem to me. Trade the blooded, no more Trader Guard and kill team. Like there's so many factions that each of these kill teams cover just by themselves to just have them like functionally like out of the game. Like for me as a competitive player, I every team that is those teams that I really like Phobos is a ton of fun for me. I can't touch them because they're going to be, you know, persona non grata in whatever 8 months or whatever, even though like I really like them, right?
I think there's something else that people don't think about. George, you're a big D&D player, so you'll understand this 100%. You can homebrew some stuff now. They are giving TOs 100% permission to just ban certain teams. So if Warp Coven are broken by the time this thing runs around still, you can just ban them as a TO. You have full authority and no one can say anything about it. You can go up and say, hey, blooded aren't allowed at these events, at my events, because they're just broken. You know, you can do that because they're already a classified team. You could take the power. TOs can now have the authority to take the power of stuff into their own hands, of kill team into their own hands, and craft events to be a better fit for their local community, right? As LVO, I'm trying to, and like the All Valley Team Tournament, I am trying to cast as big of a net as I can and please as many people as I can to come. You know, like, sure, if Warp Coven is still in its same power level when LVO runs around next.
Oh, Jesus Christ, don't even put that out
I'll
there.
just ban them because I'm going to be allowed to, right? And no one can say shit, you know? And everyone's going to be like, yeah, that was I liked it, you know? Good job, you know? And that's the thing that we have the power to do now, is we have the power and the creative freedom to organize our events a little bit better. You know, if everyone in your area loves commandos, why ban them? If there's 4 commando players in your area and you know banning them will make them not come to your events, cool. Everything except for commandos is banned. Cool. You know, then you run an event like that. Your event is saved.
The
wanting.
The wand.
So in theory, I like that. I like, as a TO, the ability to say, hey, the team is utterly bonkers broken. Do not take that team. But at the same time, if that team is banned because it is utterly bonkers broken, how is GW going to know it is utterly bonkers broken and banned at a bunch of events?
Because all the events that they're not utterly bonkers at and not broken at, they're going to win. And they'll have an overrepresentation ratio of like fucking 3. Statistically, they're still going to show up as like, oh, this team is still crushing everything, even though there's not a lot played on it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it all depends on how many TOs both use this power and also correctly clock the utterly bonkers broken shit.
That is true. You know, going into the Wild West.
Here's a good thought experiment. You know, we all played last edition. You know, we were towards the end-ish of this edition, we were in a cult goat meta that was absolutely miserable, that I think nobody enjoyed. Both of you and Dakotah and George, if you had the ability to ban those teams at the height of their power, would you have done so?
Probably not, because I have hindsight, so I know what utterly bonkers, busted, broken looks like. And they weren't, they were just strong. Probably a little too strong.
What are you talking about, George?
Don't get me started on this.
What are you talking about, George?
We've had this discussion multiple times.
My guy?
I mean, look,
Yeah.
if you had banned cults and Felgor in the summer of what, 2023, 2024, whatever it was.
The summer of Melee.
Yeah, if you ban both of those teams in Melee summer, then commandos just win every event because they're just forward deploying and throwing the dynamite.
Yes.
Yeah, commandos.
The only
It was a
reason why
busted.
Commandos got figured out is because everyone thought they were good into cults, and it turned out that it just didn't matter. That's why, Alexa won Worlds. I had the chance and I had the opportunity to ban both Felgor or make changes to them and cults, and I chose not to. I could have set the precedents 110%. But as an organizer, I disagree with homebrewing the game in that aspect because it's not in my power to dictate how things are done. I did break my rule at LVO this year. I have thoughts and feelings about doing that myself, but I do think everything that I do boils down to what is going to make players come back to my events. If people see that I make good changes for the game to have more fun, they will come back because they know that I care about their quality of life over the rules in that point in time.
Except for the Warp Coven players.
Yeah, except for the Warp
It's
Coven
so
players. They still
interesting.
won. Get out of here.
Yeah, right. Not only did they win, didn't they also come in second place too?
Yes. It was first, second, and I think there was only 4 Warp Coven players, and all of them were in the top 30.
But it's so interesting you say that, Dakotah, because we had this discussion when the controversy happened about the FAQ, and I said on this podcast, and you just confirmed it, that Dakotah felt the need to put that FAQ out because it was so bad that beyond any other thing that had changed in the game, that he felt the need to put that out in the moment because it was indeed that bad, and we were in such an unprecedented situation.
Bro, I waited until the day before the event to make changes because I was hoping and praying that Games Workshop was going to drop some sort of an FAQ the day before LVO. That just didn't happen,
Yeah, and we give you props for your boldness then, because because it was such an unprecedented thing to do at the time, and as we saw the firestorm that followed, people got very in a tizzy about it. So we are in kind of weird waters right now. I mean, there are plenty of things right now we're still weirdly worded that we don't know how it works. Like, for example, during Cherokee Open, I got Leander on the visibility door thing because he didn't know about it, and George ruled it the way you ruled it. So, you know what I mean? It's just we're in a weird spot right now. We're in a very weird spot.
You're not wrong.
Well, I do want to kind of take a little bit of a little detour down this road. We've been talking about tournaments for about 90 minutes, and the conversation's been great. This is a competitive kill team podcast, and I definitely want to get just a little bit of your thoughts on the meta and just a little bit about what kind of teams you're playing right now. Before we get into the team stuff, though, just the data slate's been out for a while now. You've been running events and seeing games happen. What are your thoughts on the meta right now? Do you think things are balanced? I mean, I personally think that things are a lot better, and I'm kind of happy where the game's at right now. But what do you think?
I definitely think that the game is more balanced. I think the game is in a much better place than it was. Do I think it's in the best place possible? Absolutely not. I think the old edition was so much more balanced than this edition. And we had Felgor and Colts and Gellerpox running around stomping people, right? I do miss the old balance, and I miss the old flavor of the teams because some of the teams that got transferred over lost their soul. Slanesh saw them transferring over and stole their soul, right? Gellerpox was one of them. Vetguard is another, right? Novitiates was even another one.
Slanesh would treat them better. Don't disparage my patron god like that. Nurgle saw them and went, I think we could use a little bit of rot here.
Yeah, and then you had novitiates, their soul got taken, and then they got a new one, right? They completely functioned completely differently. I think that right now, the game is in a 10 times better state than it was. And I can't be more happy with the game now because I told Giacomo I didn't want to make any content anymore until the balanced data slate came out. There was nothing on my mind except how bad the game was. I can't even tell you my very first game that I did when I played the game as testing the edition, right? Before it came out. I played Veteran Guard into Gellerpox. And I was like, holy cow, Gellerpox are broken. They are so broken. Well, guess what? They were not. Deathcore just sucked balls that much, okay? They're that bad, okay? That has not changed with the new buffs, in my opinion. I have to agree. We had Dan Barton on from Who Won Worlds, and he helped us go through over all the balance data changes, and he said that he thought Vetguard were really bad still. And then I had a bunch of other people saying they're good, and I went and played them. Well, guess what? They're still really bad. But
I think plasma guns need to be stronger so that Vedguard is better, but that's a different conversation we can have later.
dude, there's so many different things that you could do to. There's so many things. Plasma's one of them. You have to give them their. If you give the plasma back and you give them their mind back, they'll be.
Yeah, the demo trooper is so far buried right now that it just feels so bad.
The problem with the problem with the team is they have like 4 spiky teeth, and everything else just sucks. And once something starts to fall apart, the entire team just collapses because they have no as even though their dice have ceaseless now, and sure you're going to get an extra hit or an extra 2 hits or something like that. Once a flank starts to fall apart, the entire team just completely collapses. Yeah, you can beat Hearthkin, you can beat some other hordes, you can beat Star Striders by running at them with hand axes, but it's still like the majority of like the meta teams. Like Kasserkin are better. It's crazy.
I miss Overcharge Labs.
I mean, yeah, because what do you do when your gunner goes down? That's literally the only model you got that can kill anything, right?
And the Melta, yeah, that's it. And the plasma gun is like, oh, the plasma gun is so good. You know, it's still worse than last edition. Get out of here.
Hot is so dangerous for Vedguard. It's insane.
Awful. And their leader hits on 4s. Get out of here. Sorry, we're going to get off Vedguard.
No, I get it. I 100% get it.
I'm not even a Vedguard specialist, and I'm mad about it still.
Well, and I mean, it's just they're so bad at scoring now too. Like, you know, they were a team that excelled at scoring before. Like, you had teeth, you were able to go out and kill some stuff, but really you got a good lead early, and then you were able to hang on to it because you had those teeth and because you could push people back, stay on the center line.
And your entire team would probably be wiped at the end of the game. But guess what? Now that's just bad in kill team. You know, like the fact that they are meant, like, this is the problem with hordes in general. They are meant to trade models for points.
Yeah.
Right? When they trade models and they don't have enough good models, they just start to fall apart, you know, unless if you're, you know, you have like, Inquisition, which you have like so many tools in your toolkit, you know, but then it just becomes a skill game. But like Inquisition, I still think is phenomenal, right? I think we had I have a tier list that I put on YouTube.
Yeah, I listened to that podcast with Orion, and I was genuinely surprised to hear him talk about about scouts the way he talked about them, since I'm like a dedicated scouts player, and he seemed very high on scouts.
Yes, he was. I'm not sure if they actually fit there. I haven't seen them perform overly well, you know?
Well, you might see it soon, because I am trying to squeeze blood out of that stone, and I may be taking them to Richmond. So we'll see what happens. I think that booby or the extra APL scout. Yeah, well, the booby's great. Don't get me wrong. But no, the extra scouting option is so good and so flexible. It just lets you do whatever you want. I'll give you a great example. I had my league game against David. He was playing Farstalker Kimban. I gave the extra APL to my sergeant and gave him 4 APL. Dude, absolute wrecker of just charged, killed a recruit, shot, killed another recruit, shot and killed another recruit, because I gave them the lethal 5 pistol for both shots, and I had the ceaseless reroll because everyone was expended. It was quite nice, let me tell you. So who knows? We'll see if the teeth are really there, but yeah.
I'm excited to see if they are, you know?
I do too. We don't need power knives anymore. We can just be good.
Yeah. I mean, the meta is such a huge question to ask. I think all the elves are in upper tiers, right? I think Felgor are up there as well. I think Void Dancers are probably the best team in the game. But Warp Coven could be better than them. But people just have to go through and unlock their little recipe book and figure out what's broken on them next. That could be a thing, right? Like, we don't know. You know?
We've been having a big debate in our community about Corsairs particularly. We have like a few dedicated elf players who seem to think they're perfectly balanced at the current moment.
That Void Dancers are?
No, the Corsairs.
Okay.
And that's been a big debate in our of how good they really are. If they're A or they're really like in that S tier, and I'm not quite sure where I fall on that yet. I think there's some things in that team that are just wowie wow that they can do that just no other team can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dude, they can walk
I
through
think
walls
it's
on
interesting.
ITD.
Yeah, they can
And
walk through walls in ITD.
And Vetguard can't even like tie somebody up within Death Atonement anymore.
Nope,
Like,
it's crazy. I mean, dude, Breachers having 2 Meltas is pretty cooked, you know? I think that they
Yes.
are probably better than some people give them credit for. Are they good? I don't think so.
I don't
But-
think the 2 Meltas is intended whatsoever.
No,
and
it's not.
That should get fact out pretty soon. But I hope people really enjoy using it at the moment.
Yeah. And people continually ask, like, why? Like, we have this a lot. Like, people are like, what do you mean they get 2 Meltas? It's like, if you go and you look at, if you read their actual closely, if you read their faction and how you select models, you can 100% select 2 of any gunners of any type.
Yeah, and it's
So
just
you can
because
just take 2 Meltas,
GW
2
got
Las guns.
fucking lazy and copy pasted, Death Core restrictions on the Breachers, but they didn't copy paste the Death Core model selection format. And it's typical lazy GW writing.
That's
Pisses
God.
me off.
I can't believe it that like verbatim. I could see the intern doing it in my head, and just them just being like, "There you go, boss. Hope I did good. You did great, son." And just poor 19-year-old little British man.
Yeah, our first event is coming up on the 15th, which I think is 2 Saturdays from now. I don't know when this is going to drop, but it's coming up on the 15th, and then we have one on the 12th, and then we have our big one, All Valley, in June. So I think we'll probably see another balanced data slate before June. You know,
Hopefully.
Yeah, I've been watching certain tournaments wrap up. Plague Marines got a win recently at a pretty competitive event. So did Void Dancers, Mandrakes, and Hand of the Archon got third. So if we look at Magnolia Open 2025, where Jimmy and Joshua Kelly flew to Florida to play, Void Dancers took first, Mandrakes took second, Hand of the Archon took third, Felgor Ravagers took fourth, Felgor Ravagers took fifth, and then Jimmy Kelly took sixth with Farstalker Kinban. And then we have in seventh, we have Corsairs. So like we have all the elves,
Yep,
plus
Elf
Felgor.
meta.
And Jimmy, no matter what you give him, he's gonna play
yeah.
well.
Jimmy's just a house, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We would have had Plague Marines win Cherokee Open too at a certain man. I'm kidding.
I don't know, man. Seems like they lost to me.
Was Landon playing Mandrakes?
No,
Corsairs.
Landon was on Corsairs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was on Plague. Leander Garrett was on Warp Coven. I beat his Warp Coven. Leander beat my Plague Marines. Warp Coven beat Corsairs.
That makes sense. 100% makes sense. I think that Warp Coven are up there in the upper echelon, kind of like seeing how the meta's starting to shake out. Blades of Cain, 3-up saves for my boys Striking Scorpions, but to be honest, it takes like a galaxy brain to play them well. So you're gonna play if you have like an IQ. I've said this many times. If you have an IQ of 120 plus, you're gonna play them really good. Or you're gonna need like 90 games on them to like know what to take into what, where to do what, and you're still gonna make mistakes.
It's kind of wild, dude. Like, I mean, it truly is. Like, I last edition I played Blades of Cain and I touched them a little bit this edition. I'm like, man, I just don't know what to do with half of these matchups because they're just so skewed one direction or the other. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're really fun to play.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I think Nemesis Claw is still super, super duper good,
Convince me, please. They're sitting on my shelf. My Night Lords are my favorite. I just don't think they got the juice because their tack ups are not great.
Well,
Seek and infill. Yeah, you're kind of.
So let me tell you
Storm.
this.
They're good at Storm.
Yeah, they're good at Champion. They're good at a couple things. If I go to LVO real quick, let me see where he placed.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think he was like he's 7th or 8th.
Yes. So Austin Lewis placed. Let's see what placings.
Because I was watching his run because I was like, ooh, Nemesis Claw doing well.
Yeah, he placed 7th. He had a couple good matchups, had a couple good victories and stuff, but he placed 7th before the nerfs. The team is really, really good, and they function really, really well when you play them hyper aggressively.
Yes, which that is my shit.
There you
So
go.
that's why I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just my biggest problem, and we've gone over multiple times here in the podcast, is they are entirely reliant on their dice, and they have exactly two sources of rerolls, one of which is entirely dependent on what faction you're playing. So it's like, is balance going to get me through a 6-round tournament to a golden ticket? I don't know.
And
So
got
that's why I'm
him
like,
9 rounds to 7th out of 158
Yeah.
players.
true.
I mean, Angels only have balanced, right? And I think they've got the sauce to win a tournament, and they have one, number.
Yeah, I think Nemesis is really, really, really good. I think they're probably them, Legionary and Plague Marines are probably all on the same level. And then you have
Agreed.
like Intercession and Phobos below them. And like Plague Marines are idiotic, my friend. They are. I
Let me tell you.
I hate them. I hate
Dude,
Nurgle. I hate COVID.
I'm gonna
you
say
know?
it right now. Contagion is one of the most toxic rules in the game. I hate that I abuse the shit out of it. It is so stupidly good when paired up with Lumbering Death. You just push up the board, make your presence known, sit there, and your opponent just cries if they have any melee. Or God forbid you're a dedicated melee team, and then you're really fucked. So it's like, that's why I took Plague Marines, is because I knew for a fact that like their bad matchups are fine, but if I'm going to be running into goats, if I'm going to be running into elf melee, if I'm going to be running into warp coven melee, if I'm going to be running into legionnaire melee, I just want to make them all
melee.
Hyrotech melee. Just want to have them hitting on 4s for everything. So it makes my life easy and their life harder.
Yeah, I think that this edition is very
Dice reliant.
well, yes, dice reliant, especially in this edition when they got rid of all the 2-ups to hit,
Yep.
Which is
Not
not
scouts,
a
baby.
bad thing.
Not scouts.
Oh my god, yeah. Dude, I can't wait for my scouts to come in. I'm so excited to run around with just a ton of 4/4 2-up shotguns.
It's kind of cracked.
I think Brood Brothers are going to be also something to watch out for. I think they're going to be pretty good in the upcoming meta, but they're going to struggle really heavily into some of the melee factions.
Dude, can you explain why Brood Bros went down so hard? Because effectively, like, almost nothing changed for the team between editions, and yet somehow they're worse.
Yeah, because there's 3 objectives.
I think the leader tax hit them pretty hard, and they've got bad tac ops.
They have bad tac ops.
They
Their
have
leader-
info ed Steak?
I think so. That would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not awful. They still have the Patriarch, which is an amazing model. You have the Magus, who's like stupid. But let me tell you a quick tip. The Magus is a trick into Felgor. I've seen it run multiple times. They still suck into it. You can stun a goat. They're just going to give them +1 APL when you stun them, and then they're going to function fine. Yeah, you can take stun grenades, and they're going to stun on 3-ups. You know, good luck on your dice roll. You know,
I will say too, look out for Blooded. Blooded,
yes,
are
Blooded is good.
crazy. It is. I cannot believe I'm not seeing people tap into this. You can get a relentless melta gun. It's insane with accurate 1.
Yeah, it's pretty cooked. You know, I think Chaos Colt's really good right now. You know,
I came across cool Chaos Cult tech that I'm gonna now give out to the world. Mutants and Torments can shoot gun, so give them grenades.
I like it.
Sounds fun to me.
It's so stupid. But like,
They got claws. They can throw them.
charge a Torment in, use the ploy to get a free fight, and then just chuck a frag grenade in a group.
Yeah, I think you see like a lot of teams. I still think Star Striders are really bad. You know, looking at the bottom of the tier. I don't care what people say. I don't think Pathfinders are bad. I just don't think anyone's playing them. It's almost made me want to play Pathfinders just to prove people wrong, you know, or to prove to myself that I'm wrong yet again. Because I keep thinking, oh, Veteran Guard are kind of good now, you know, like, wow, I got Ceaseless, I got Accurate 1. Doesn't matter.
What do you think?
What do you think the difference between, like, in terms of like what makes Blooded tick and be better than Vet Guard?
Blooded have so many more operatives that can kill things and do stuff.
Yeah, it's all teeth. I played Blooded at LVO, and I lost a Marine to just dudes fighting me because they have
Yeah.
a ploy that when they die, they do like, you know,
They
some
explode or some
they
shit
explode to deal
on a
damage.
4-up. Yeah.
And so they hit me enough with crits or whatever, and then the explosion would just take the rest of me out.
Is this Brandon Bean?
Yeah.
He's one of the best blooded players out there right
Yeah, it
now.
was a
He's from Pacific Northwest.
fantastic game. I really enjoyed it. I was going to lose that game if everything went my way because I had a bad game plan. So, like, I wasn't winning that game, and it wasn't even my opponent's fault. It was my fault. But then he also kicked my ass, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Blooded is cooked. I think Commandos are underrated too right now. They have a really poor win rate because here's another thing that skews stats. It's really hard to just look at stats in a vacuum. Competitive players and the best players will go and gravitate to the strongest teams in the meta, which will ultimately make them have the highest win rates. There are still teams that are good that just aren't the best, so that they only get played by people who are just bringing up the game or just getting back into it or whatever the case may be, and they might not win very much. I still think Commandos are relatively gross at the moment as well. Maybe not into everything because, again, we're in a rock, paper, scissors type meta. And if anyone's listening, what a rock, paper, scissors meta is just like elves beat certain things, Marines beat certain things, and then hordes kind of like the good hordes.
I mean, everybody beats hordes except Crute and Blooded.
Yeah, Crute and Blooded are pretty good.
And, like, I don't think it's weird that the only two hordes that are doing well, one of them have a heavy reposition piercing to flamer, and the other one has a relentless melta gun and accurate plasma gun that can shoot into melee, and they just have power weapons for days. Like, they can fight, they can shoot, they can do it all. And then the other hordes aren't doing so good.
Yeah, I mean, Wormblade's pretty decent, and so is Hunterglade. I think Hunterglade's really good, but Wormblade also has a lot of teeth. But again, they have actual models who are like meant to kill stuff. And then you have Veteran Guard who like depended on their mind so much in the last edition. That was taken away. All their plasma was taken away. You have like, man,
Hot,
I just think
the hot las guns. Like when I played Vet Guard, if I was getting a shooting match, I popped hot shot las guns every turn.
Overcharged las was
'cause
so good.
They're so good. Piercing 1 on a 2/3 gun with ceaseless suddenly was really dangerous.
yeah, if you gave them 3-5 axes or you gave them access to a new equipment that made all of their las guns 3-4. If you're trying to make them into the ultimate shooty horde, like maybe that's the route that they continue to go. Personally, I hate that. I hate that they're trying to make Vet Guard the new Pathfinders. It's stupid.
They shouldn't be. They're veteran. Well, I mean, they're Death Corps, but like Death Corps, the guardsmen, they should have some flexibility. They should have some melee equipment like the hand axes, and they should be able to overcharge their las guns. The real problem is hot is so dangerous to 4-up hit models that if they just gave them piercing 1 and hot, you're just killing your team yourself.
Mm-hmm. Or heaven forbid, you're shooting somebody and you have a -1 hit token, or something like that, like to hit.
Just roll the 4 on the hot. You take 8 wounds or 8 damage. Oh, I guess you just die.
Yep.
The real problem
here's
is
the
that they
thing.
lean too much into in-life shame and not too much into in-death atonement. There's just too much shame, and it feels real bad.
Here's the thing. I know we got some dedicated like hordes players here. The elite matchup last edition was so miserable into them. Like, I love my Legionnaire, but every time I came against like Vet Guard, I was like, well, I'm just losing this. So like I'm still a little like, okay, they definitely should be brought up, but I'm not like too upset about it if I'm being honest. I mean, we got Legionnaire in the sun. I mean, only Shane from Command Point was making elites work from last edition. So like, I don't feel too bad about it. But I also understand, like, if that's y'all's faction, and I would like to see them at least brought up to, like, a B tier, so that they're actually genuinely playable.
I have never seen Joe tilt so fast than when I played my practice games with him as Vet Guard for Nova. And, like, by turn 2, I had killed 4 Marines. And he's like, how do I fucking do this?
That's fair.
Yeah, it's why I didn't win Nova last year.
Yeah, I think Jaegers are also relatively not great right now.
It's just their TAC ops. That's the problem. If they had good tac ops, they'd be perfectly fine.
We really need like the updated cards they did in the middle of last edition, because I feel like that's what took a good game to a great game last edition. Like the minute they released that approved ops pack and we got all the new missions, all the new tac op cards, things got so good for second edition there, and we really need that like
Why
in a
don't
year
we
or
have
so.
subversive control for infiltration now? Why do we have wiretap, which is fucking worthless, or implant, which actively does not help you win the game?
It's blood is the best tac op, baby.
I think a lot of these teams, they've lost their core identity, which was attached to some of their tac ops within the teams.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why some of these teams are just really bad, is because like security, why you can't score security if your models don't live. You can't score, seek and destroy if you're not an elite, right?
Yeah, if you're not killing.
Yeah, you can score, and then like, look how many teams have recon who are at the top of the list, right? It's just broken, And then you have infiltrate, which is a relatively good. It's a decent one if you take like implant or something like that. It can be decent, right? But like approved ops is just seems relatively unbalanced on a lot of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, I don't understand how they make such unbalanced crit ops.
I do.
Infiltration, I mean, I know it's because they don't test their shit. But like infiltration has always been the weakest archetype, and I don't know why they can't just get their shit together.
I know this is going to shock you, George, but we're all playtesters that we do playtesting for free.
I think like Deathcore would actually be decent if you had beacons, right? Like I think that's the problem, right? Is like we look. I mean,
how many teams could you say that about? Like if they could just plant beacons, they would be a good team. Yeah,
almost everything, right? And I think that's what I mean to say is that we have like there's a problem with approved ops that is skewing certain teams, and when you balance around a certain like metric, and then everything changes again. Like we could see a crazy meta shift whenever they drop new approved ops, like things could continually shift, or maybe they just like tone things to make things a little easier and a little.
I mean, infiltration will still be utter dog shit because apparently that's its job.
Something that carried over from second edition.
I'm sure somebody from Games Workshop's listening right now, George, and they're going to write the greatest tac op ever, and they're going to make you eat your words.
I hope so.
Yeah,
it's called C's Defenses.
Fucking hope so. This is called reverse psychology.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, obviously, faction tac ops went away, and like that obviously changed a ridiculous amount of things in this game.
By the way.
Yeah, I mean, probably. It's just the thing is like to Dakotah's point, like they were balanced around the flavor and the rules of the team. Now, don't get me wrong, that didn't often turn out to be like a scoreable tac op. I mean, Legionnaire is a great example. They didn't have any scoreable faction tac ops. But sometimes you did, and you have to worry about some of the worst tac ops because, you got this cool faction tac op and it's like super flavorful. And, I loved that aspect of it. And the one thing that I really hate from second to third edition is we kind of have like taken some of the narrative out of the teams too. And a huge part of telling that team story was in the faction tac ops. So if we could like find some way to like kind of add that back through approved ops, I would really appreciate that. But like, I don't know. It's hard to do.
I think we're going to be in for a long haul, right? Because if we think about like release schedules, and so like, I'm sure Games Workshop also has publishing deadlines, right? And also this is something that people don't think about very often, right? So like Games Workshop probably also, when they're writing rules, right? And I think Mark, you said like you're seeing like addition creep, like power creep, or something that you're seeing is happening.
Sure.
I think that a lot of these teams have probably been at the publishers before they knew half of these things were probably a problem, right? Yeah. So like I don't know how long it takes to get a book edited and a book to get published. Let's just guess 12 months, right? That's game.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because Wizards of the Coast typically has their books go out in a 10 to 12 month span where they're getting published, shipped back, and then they distribute, right?
Oh, so you know what? That's a great point. We need Unearth Arcana for these books and for these teams. That would be awesome.
That would be sick. It would be sick. Yeah, but I think that we're going to see teams come out all a specific way. And then in the future, we'll see things get better, right? Because I think we're going to see everything kind of trending one way, and then it'll make a direct course change back to whatever power level that they're actually aiming at, right? So competitively, when we're thinking about the edition, I think that I don't know what's going to come out next, but like I think that like we're going to see certain things continually trend and then have a snap backwards. And then I would also guess that whatever the next approved ops thing is probably just going to refine everything, right? And make things better. And then the next approved ops might be like drastic changes. You know what I mean? Because now they have a full year or 2 years or however long we're waiting for more info and more feedback. And then we'll see greater changes and a more balanced game happen.
Cards do take a lot less time from conception to printing than books do. So they can be a lot more reactive on those.
I suppose that's true, but I also think that it's a more total package type of thing because it's not just the cards where this is being updated. It's probably being updated on the app too.
100%. I think they're going to be lean. We'll see if they lean on the app more too.
None of that stuff is on the app yet.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I would love it to be, but then there'd be no reason to buy the pack, and that sort of undermines GW's ability to make money, which they're not going to do.
What are you talking about, Mark? I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a lot to talk about there, but I think that we have something still to talk about, and I think that that's squad games. Definitely want to make sure that you have time to plug whatever you want to plug, Dakotah. One thing for the listeners out there, if you're not listening to the Squad Games podcast already, what are you doing? It's incredible. I started listening at like that last data slate of the last edition, and I mean, I really like the way that y'all break stuff down, and I mean the vibes with you and G just fantastic.
Thank you,
and you've also got the Hobby Highlander series on YouTube. That's a lot of fun to watch as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been working a lot on the Hobby Highlander series. We got the next 4 episodes done, and what that show does is we directly blindly compare different paints from different brands against each other to see what's the best for different colors and different brands. We filmed 9 episodes. I think so far we have 5 episodes out. I have to just put in like the little logos and all that kind of stuff to finish those. So those will be coming out soon. And then we're going to start season 2, which will start with a brand off, wash off, which will be, we're going to take all the brands and test a bunch of different 16 different brands. And we're going to have a Swiss bracket between like 3 episodes. It's going to be pretty cool. It's something that we're working on and you might not see for a couple of months, but hey, that's what we're doing. Yeah, we have a YouTube. I'm pretty proud of that. The direction it's going. Our battle report, we're actually supposed to run one on Monday, tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to happen because I am trying to revamp the shop's space. So we're going to probably push it off for 1 more week. And then, we also run a lot of good events. I definitely think that they're worth coming to. If you ever want to go to LA or see the beach or see Hollywood or something like that, you can travel out. We do try to run, I try to run the best events in my capability of doing. We have a team of 3. And then the next year's LVO is going to be awesome. So you guys should watch out for more news about that because I hope that those tickets will go live soon. And we're trying to break the record once again to make sure that we keep it out of Spain's hands. So that's my goal.
USA. The one thing you'd be prideful about in the Kill Team community is your representation of the USA versus the Brits.
There you go. Yeah. They beat me at Worlds. They got first and second best painted. I got third, which was best US, but it's fucking Brits, man.
Fucking
too
Brits.
Good at painters.
I know.
Too good.
It's crazy.
Listen, I'll be coming for that best painter. Don't you worry.
I love it.
Well, guys, this has been incredible. Any parting thoughts for Dakotah, guys?
Nah, this was great. We just recorded a 2-hour Mondo podcast for our listeners. God forbid we miss 1 week. We record you 2 podcasts in one.
Basically,
Thank you, Dakotah. It has been a great conversation, and I'm
You're
really,
welcome.
really glad you came on. Thank you.
I apologize. I am long-winded. These things tend to go long with me.
It was
That's fine. So is
fantastic. True.
Hey, man, when the vibes are good, you just got to roll with it.
Vibes are good.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Vox Screen. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please follow, subscribe, and leave us a review. Any of those things are going to help us grow. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode.